All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to look at some ways that we can use some Google tools to help support students with IEPs and ELs. Some of these you're going to have to teach your students how to use, so feel free to send them this video, or if you need me to, I can make them a brief little tutorial, or if you wanted to using like a Screencastify or something. We're basically going to start in Docs, look at some things that are built into Docs, move into a little way to help kids visualize stuff a little bit better when we're doing our live sessions or recording a video, and then end up looking at some stuff in YouTube. So some just real quick sort of things. So let's start in Docs. Probably the biggest and easiest one, and this is even for not even our kids with IEPs or ELs, but just people in general, is that if we go to Tools, you have this feature down here called voice typing. If this is your first time using it, it'll ask for permission from your microphone. You just go ahead and give it permission. And what it does is it gives you this little microphone here. And when I click on that, it starts to transcribe everything that I'm saying into the document. So if you speak really clearly, it'll pick up everything really nice. If you kind of mess up your words like I did at the beginning, it's not the best. But what you can do is go ahead and have it transcribe everything. And when you're done, hit the button. And then you just have to go back and kind of do some edits. So kind of how you would do on your phone when you use Siri or Google Assistant. It's not going to be 100%, but it's at least going to give you a start. So I know we have some of our kids who, writing is not going to be the best thing for them. I think of one boy I had my last year teaching where I could not get that child to pick up a pencil and write to save his life. But when I told him he could record what he wanted to say, he was a genius. So again, we go to Tools, Voice Typing. It's here. It's even also nice for you. I know sometimes our brains move a little bit faster than our fingers do for typing. So next one to look at is again under Tools is we have this in English. And normally when we try to translate it, a lot of people do the copy and then go to Google Translate and drop it in there. This is actually built into Docs. So if you go up to Tools and Translate Document, go ahead and rename it. You choose your language, and it's going to take the entire document once I find Spanish, because that's probably what our kids are going to need. Hit translate. It makes a copy of the document and puts it into Spanish. 100%? No, it's AI translation, but at least it's a starting point. I know it's one of the pushbacks on Google Translate is, well, it's not perfect. I'd much rather give a kid this where they can use some context clues and figure it out than to give them this English document where they don't know a lot of the words. You could still always do the classic copy and paste, but this is just really easy when you've done the document in English and it's right there. And since it's in Docs, you can go ahead and attach both into Google Classroom. And if you want to, you could use that differentiation feature where you send things only to certain students. Another one that you can use to help kids who are maybe, Spanish only or still learning English is you can actually translate an entire web page with a few clicks in Chrome. So I have this article in Wikipedia about dogs. It's actually one Mr. Kwan showed me. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to translate. I already had set my language for Spanish. You might have to change it up here, but there you go. I click that, and within seconds, it takes everything on the page and translates it into Spanish. And what's awesome is I could choose another language here and just as fast be like, sure, give me the entire page in Arabic. So again, instead of copying and pasting and going somewhere else that we know usually takes a few steps for the kids, and once you give them a few steps, it's like they just get completely lost. We can do all of that built into the web browser. And then if I want to go back to English, I just click on English up here. So those are some translation options that we have, just quick little shortcuts. The last one is one that it works in remote learning, but also works just in classroom. I actually like it when you're in the classroom even more because it just makes it easier for you to monitor. If you go to Tools again, you go to the Explore tool, you kind of have a built-in Google search in here. So for example, I'm going to type in cat. You can see it went and searched the web for me. It'll search my drive, but it also searches images. And what's awesome is if a kid likes an image, all they have to do is just click and drag, and they can insert it in the document. So the reason why this one's helpful is, even for adults, when we open up a new tab, we get super distracted. But also when you're in a classroom setting like face-to-face, if I see this Google Doc interface, I know the kid's on task. When I see Google Images, I start to think that they're not on task. Also, it does, you can see here, pull in the attribution and everything. So the people who have the image get credit And if you have stuff from your drive, you can do that too. You got websites. You can choose your citation format too. This is kind of cool. You drop that in there. And then down the bottom, it goes ahead and creates your citations. Imagine if we had that in college and we didn't have to have the big, giant, thick formatting book that I know we all loved. So that's kind of the stuff for docs. Kind of went through that kind of fast. So any questions on that? Or anything anyone else has that they want to add while I take a sip of water? Nope. No, cool. All right. So let's jump into a helpful one that I think. So this one is kind of like we're going to go very meta and do a meet and inside of a meet. So I have my call open with my students in the background right here. I'm going to start a new one, and I'm not going to invite anyone to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my microphone, make sure that's turned off, but I'm going to keep on my webcam and hit join now. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to invite anyone. I'm going to pull this out and resize it. This is one I saw online I thought was really smart and really cool. So now when I'm in my document, I can go ahead and pull up my meet. And now I'm a floating head. Hey, everyone, look at this cat right here. Look right here. So I know it's really frustrating when you're screen sharing and you're trying to highlight and everything. This is one where you basically can go on camera. So the kids can see both what you're screen sharing and you at the same time. And all you're doing is just dragging yourself around. So you want to go like, hey, I want you to look right here at that sentence. Helpful for your kids who kind of, get a little distracted looking at the document. Plus it's your face. They want to see your face right now. I don't want to see mine, so I'm going to close that. And you can do that with QuickTime if you don't want to have the full meet stuff. I've seen people do it with Zoom. But basically the idea is you're creating like a picture-in-picture sort of situation where kids can look at the document or whatever it is that you're going over and then include that video as well. I've seen some people online where I first saw this idea that they are doing that and they're recording their screen, and that's how they're giving the kids feedback. So what they're doing is they're moving around the document and kind of pointing to different things to be very specific about what sections they're referring to. Super helpful just for clarifying stuff, but definitely I see a lot of help in your kids who get easily distracted or just, social emotionally need to see your face. All right, let's jump into YouTube. So I have this video here, my share screen video that I sent out to everyone, because I know when I opened it, I went, what the heck? The share screen is different. Let's go over a few things that we have in here that can help. This one you'll definitely want to teach your kids because it's not as intuitive as it should be. And from all the research I did, I couldn't find a way to auto turn these things on. There used to be one, but then it stopped working, which I don't know why they took away. So hopefully they bring it back. But if you're recording a video and you're worried about, hey, some of my kids, their first language isn't English, they need a little bit of extra help. If you go here to CC, you can turn on the subtitles and closed captions. So the first step is to turn them on. By default, it's going to go to English. But if I click on the gear here and go to subtitles, I can go to auto translate. And then again, I can take the text and I can change it into so many languages, Spanish. And so now you'll see, again, not 100%, but pretty accurate. It is taking what is being said on the video and dropping Spanish subtitles in here. So if you're like me and English is your only language and you're like, oh man, how am I going to, get this translated by the time I send it to somebody and they re-record it's going to take too long, you could always use this feature here. You could also turn that on. And if you go to the three dots here under more, you have a transcript. And what's awesome is it took all the captions here and dropped it into a transcript, a time-coded transcript. So if the kids open up this and they're kind of following along while listening to you and they miss exactly where they're at, all they have to do is click there. And if you look in the red bar, it jumps to that exact moment in the video. And again, just like our translation in Google Docs, I could change it to Armenia on this one, and the same thing will happen within seconds. So again, not going to say it's 100% at all, but just for the amount of time it could save, it is huge, really, really big. So then last one in there is one that helps some of our kids who just, are watching videos from people like me who probably talk too fast or talk too slow. We all seen that one video. I can think of one jiu-jitsu instructor in particular where if I don't do this to his videos, I fall asleep within the 30 seconds because he just talks so slow. That's playback speed. So in here, you could slow it down to like 0.75. And when you play the video, it's going to literally slow it down to 0.75. Now, the audio, the slower you make it, the slower and kind of more monotone that it'll sound. And of course, the faster you make it, the more you sound like a chipmunk. But these are cool little things to show the kids because, I know for me, like when I listen to podcasts, I never listen to them at normal. I'm usually at like 1.5 just to save some time. So some kids might like that because they have limited time. Some may want to go down to, 0.75 because they need to hear something again. Or, maybe they need a little bit more time to process. So that's all built in. When you upload it to YouTube, you don't have to do anything. These are all things that YouTube does. They put in the captions for you. There is a way that if you wanted to update the translation, you can go into YouTube and do that manually. So like if you watch it and the language that's translated into and you're like, oh yeah, that's not right, you could always go in and update it and it'll reflect in your captions that show up down here and then also in your transcript. So that's it for some of the Google stuff. One last little bonus one because you guys are here. This is one I learned a few months ago and it's been one of my favorites. It's nothing to do with Google. It's actually Mac based. So if you go into your system preferences and go under accessibility, find the area that says zoom. And then we have this little thing right here. It's probably not checked where it says use scroll gesture with modifier keys to zoom. I don't know if this will do it in the recording. Hopefully it does. But if I hold the command key and then scroll forward with my mouse, it scrolls my entire screen. So instead of using like the command plus and the command minus, if I can hold command and quickly zoom in and zoom out on something. Again, I don't know if that did it on the screen because I don't know how it's working in the Meet call right now, but it's a really cool, easy one to kind of focus on stuff. And yeah, it's built into your accessibility within your Mac, so you don't need anything special for it. Again, go to accessibility, zoom, click on it. You could choose a different key if you wanted, I guess. I always choose command just because it's the easiest one. So that's it. That was really fast, but does anyone have any questions or anything else that they want to share with the group? All right, so here's what I'll do. I'll stop recording because I know, like I've said on a few of these things, I know people don't want to talk when they know they're being recorded. I'll stop recording and we can keep talking, and then I'll put the video up later for everyone else. So let me go over here, hide, 3 dots, stop recording.